How it's going? Today I will talk about strategies to avoid climate change. I am Ángel Ruiz. Let's start. Everyone wonder what climate is change? Climate change is the modification of the climate with respect to climatic history on global or regional scale. Next, I will let you know what we will see in this video. First, the greenhouse effect and climate change. Second, evidence of climate change. Third, greenhouse gas emission. Fourth, vulnerability and impacts of climate change. And fifth, strategies to avoid climate change. Greenhouse effect and climate change. The greenhouse effect is basically the effect by which the sun heat that reaches the earth is not bounced back into space in this entirety and remains at a certain percentage, giving rise to an ideal temperature for life on planet Earth, animals, plants, and living things. Therefore, this effect is beneficial for life, and what's more, without it would not be possible. The problem has arisen when, as a result of human activity and industrial and social growth, the number of gases in the atmosphere with properties to cause this greenhouse effect has increased disproportionately. This greater amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere can have diverse and debatable consequences, but mainly it can lead to an increase in global terrestrial temperature and trigger collapse effects. When the greenhouse effect becomes a phenomenon with negative consequences for the planetary life, we often talk about climate change. Evidence of climate change. Global temperature rise. The planet average surface temperature has reached about 2.12 degrees Fahrenheit, 1.18 degrees Celsius. Since the late 19th century, a change driven largely by increased emission of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere and other human activities. Most of the warming has occurred in the last 40 years, with the most recent 7 years being the warmest. The years 2016 and 2020 are tied for being the warmest year on record. Warming oceans. The oceans have absorbed much of this increased heat. The top 100 meters, about 328 feet, of the ocean show warming of more than 0.6 degrees Fahrenheit, 0.33 degrees Celsius. Since 1969, Earth stored 90% of its remaining energy in the oceans. Shrinking ice caps. The Greenland and Antarctic ice sheets have decreased in mass. Data from NASA climate and gravity recovery experiments show that Greenland lost an average of 290 billion tons of ice per year between 1993 and 2019, while Antarctic lost approximately 148 billion tons of ice per year during the same period. Rising sea levels. The world sea levels have risen above 8 inches in the last century. However, the rate in the last 2 decades is nearly double that of the last century and is accelerating slightly each year. Greenhouse gas emission. Carbon dioxide (CO2) is the main greenhouse gas emitted as a result of human activities. Carbon dioxide occurs naturally in the atmosphere as a part of the Earth's carbon cycle, the natural circulation of carbon between the atmosphere, oceans, lands, plants, and animals. Human activities are altering the carbon cycle. Transportation. Burning fossil fuels like gasoline and diesel to transport people and goods was the largest source of CO2 emissions in 2017. accounting for about 34.2% of total USA CO2 emissions and 27.7% of total USA greenhouse gas emissions. This category includes transportation-related sources such as road vehicles, air travel, shipping, and rail. Electricity. Electricity is a significant source of energy in the United States and is used in the homes, businesses, and industries. In 2017, burning fossil fuels to generate electricity was the second largest source of CO2 emissions in the nation, approximately 32.9% of total USA CO2 emissions and 26.7% of total greenhouse gas emission in the USA, depending on the type of fossil fuels used to generate electricity. Different amounts of CO2 will be emitted to produce a given amount of electricity. Burning coal will generate more CO2 than oil or natural gas. Industry. Many industrial processes emit CO2 through the consumption of fossil fuels. Several processes also produce CO2 emission through chemical reaction without combustion. For example, the production and consumption of mineral products such as cement, the production of metals such as iron and steel, and the production of chemical. Fossil fuel combustion from various industrial processes accounted for approximately 15.4% of total USA CO2 emission and 12.5% of total USA greenhouse gas emission in the year 2017. Keep in mind that many industrial processes also use electricity and therefore indirectly cause emission from electricity production. Vulnerability and impacts of climate change. Vulnerability is defined as the degree of susceptibility or inability of a system to face the adverse effects of climate change, and in particular, climate variability and extreme events. Vulnerability will depend on the nature, magnitude, and speed of climate change to which a system is exposed, and on its sensibility and adaptive capacity. That is the predisposition to be negatively affected by the presence of meteorological or climate phenomena. Strategies to avoid climate change. Take care of the water. Protecting these valuable resources is vital to resisting climate change. You can do it with simple actions such as avoiding waste when brushing your teeth or hands. Wash clothes in cold water as far as possible. Avoid shower heaters and recycle. You can collect rainwater and have systems for collection water from sinks to reuse it sustainably. Some specific actions that connect food with a model of sustainability can be buying local or seasonal products that generate fewer emissions, choose products of organic origin, and prefer a greater consumption of plant-based foods to reduce the effects of intensive livestock farming and help mitigate climate change. Support the use of alternative energy. Keeping us informed about large-scale action that will have a considerable impact on the recovery of the planet is our responsibility. Therefore, it is important to support and promote the global transition toward the use of alternative energy such as solar energy or wind energy. With less emissions, where possible, they prefer to use nature-friendly means of transport such as cycling or walking, which also provide many health benefits while addressing climate change. By reducing emissions, you can also use public transport or share the private vehicle with other people.